Hi everyone. I'm Gideon just listening away. Good evening. I hope Gideon's just like in his own world here. Let us know where you're watching in from. Hi Helen, good to see you online. Happy belated birthday. I saw happy birthday wishes. Hi Lena. We've just gotten home about 20 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. Hi Lara, and thank you guys for tuning in. This is like a kind of a normal evening for us where Edwin plays volleyball in the evenings, and then he's home around this time. We were a bit late to pick him. Today we picked him because Gideon and I went to the wharf to see my little brother off. He's gone to the village for a week. They're building a house in the village, and so we're gonna go to the village in Christmas or no? We're supposed to go.
Hopefully.
To Vanambalavu. All depends on what happens in the elections, eh? Yeah, one step at a time, Manda. Bula Seni. Bula Elizabeth from Nakelo. I love it. Bula Meme. Oh, nice. Thank you, Lamba. Thank you. I'm glad you can hear us. Oh, Maki. Maki, you in a good mood today? Unlike when I saw you on Saturday, you didn't want to give me a hug.
Oh, somebody from Dubai.
Yeah, that's Helen.
Wow.
So Helen is Sikeli's sister. Sikeli Sabu.
Dalwin?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Not Sikeli and Dalidoni. Sikeli Sabu who does our TikTok. Sikeli and Shania.
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it from Dubai?
Oh yeah, okay, true. Sorry, Skelly, just having like full-on conversation here. Bula Selena, Bula Joe. Wow, Hosea, John Salvation. Are you still in Sydney?
Yes, Hosea.
Lovely. Bula Tarsila, Malombula. Oh man, so good to see all of you guys. And Lara's in Coronivia, just welcoming everybody. I'm so glad you could join us. We probably won't take too long doing a live this evening. We just thought it'll be nice to do a live and talk about this name. Bula Atelaite. Atelaite knows the whole history behind this name. Bula Kelly and Timaima, Bula Ani, and just send a message to anybody that is, maybe driving home or anyone around. To join in. We won't take too long, but also we'd love to take some questions if you have any questions. Also, some of you might have watched my live on the whole dramatic dropping from the list on Saturday. Bula Finau from Nukuatu. I love it. Oh, California. But you can also ask any questions if you missed the live. Ma, hello there. Parrott name. Atelaite, you should tell the Parrott name. Atelaite is actually Adelaide. FYI, everyone. Atelaite Dama is my niece, and she is named after our grandmother, great, who was Adelaide. Yes, Adelaide was Albert James' daughter. Yeah, and so that's Atelaite. Bula, this is in New Zealand. Yes, come on, Mrs. Winingolo and Tommy, report to live on your auntie's page immediately. Man, I love it. And thank you, everybody, for all the encouragement. Like in the past couple of days, we've been so encouraged. That's really helped us. Oh, yes, Sawa. I love it. Bulataka. Oh, Bulataka. We were just conversing today. I love that. Bulalela. San Francisco. Man, though, America is online at the moment. I love it. Bula Mary. So I was saying, we've just, this is probably an, Gori. Ben, you can call her Adelaide. This is like a normal, maybe an average evening for us.
Moira.
Oh, Bula Moira. So we come back. Edwin is at volleyball every evening. With we have three volleyball teams. Man, how dare I forget my pink.
Pink.
Our volleyball team's based in Rewanga. They train in Rewanga. And we're actually at a competition this weekend in Lautoka. So if you're in Lautoka, we will be there. Where is the volleyball?
Multi-purpose court.
Oh, wow. We're very fancy this weekend. So Lautoka, we will be there. And I'm the lunch lady when it comes to volleyball. So I will be serving the lunch and the juice for our young men. So Edwin plays volleyball every afternoon with them. So normally we're home around 7:30. We'll have dinner. I'll have a cold beer, which is part of the routine. It's good for my health.
This is chope, Bula chope, Black Hawks.
Oh man, look at you guys. Mbulavani. Oh, safe house. Come through. Okay, so maybe we'll start. It's 7 past. Thank you guys for coming on time. So the purpose of today is just to explain the name, because that came as a bit of a shock. Not to me, but to the public, because no one has heard of that name Parrott before. And you know what's funny is, like, a lot of people actually thought that the press had made a mistake, or somebody was trying to make fun of me, because, you know, I'm like maybe a little bit of a target at the moment. So I wanted to explain the name, right? So, you know, normally in ordinary circumstances, I would have used Warid. Or everything is in Warid. My passport is in Warid, our bank accounts, everything. And you know, this whole, you know, name change thing that as females need to do. So I was born, I wasn't born in Fiji. I'm a Fiji citizen now, but in my early years, I spent in the UK because my dad was in the British Army. So I actually have a, Bula Shante. So I actually have a UK birth certificate. Now, my great-great-grandfather, his name was Albert James Parrott. And he came from Boston in America. Yes, came as a Wulangi to this country, came as a visitor. So my great-great-grandfather is American. I always thought I had English blood, but no English blood, just born that side. But so he comes on this boat. Do you remember the name of the boat? Sami always remembers. I can't remember. But he came with the likes of, like, the Shute family, Shute with a S, and also with the Rylands, and I'm sure others. So this group of Americans came on the boat. So they came straight to Vunolevu when they came. And so Albert James Parrott and Ryland, they went to Wunindongolo village in Vunolevu. That's like Savu area. So they went there, and both of them married the chief's daughters. The chief there of Wunindongolo had 2 daughters, and they married a daughter each. Yeah. So for some reason, my great-great-grandfather and my great-great-grandmother, whose name was Chimaima, and we actually went to Wunindongolo a couple of months ago, which was really special, to meet Sailosi.
Yeah.
To meet him there. And this village, you might have heard of it. It was one that was relocated because of climate change. It's just a little bit outside Savu. So anyway, they left Wunindongolo and went to Wonombalavu. At that time, I believe Wonombalavu was still under the Kondrove. Still under the Kondrove. Like, I didn't even realize that Wonombalavu was under the Kondrove. So it wasn't part of Lao. And I think there was some kind of transaction between Ma'afu, and anyway, like, we will check our history, but anyway, now we were part of Lao. So then they settled in Wonombalavu in the Dalidoni village, and then that's where all the Pareti Savu family come from. Now Parrott is the original family name, and that is now Pareti. So that is where Pareti actually comes from. So when my dad was in Pulaleni, when my dad was in the British Army, he started using Parrott again. So when I was born and my brother Siti was born, we were both born in the, in outside of Fiji, straight away they put Parrott on our birth certificates. So on my birth certificate, my name is Liliana Sarah Parrott. Now, when we had to change our names because of this crazy, ridiculous law that we have in this country, when we had to change our names, I was running around trying to figure out how I could change my name on my birth certificate. So in Fiji, it's easy, right? You can go and just change here
If
with
you
the
have a
Fiji.
Fiji birth certificate, huh?
Yeah. But I contacted the UK and they said very nicely to me that there's no way they can change that document because you cannot change the name you were born with. That's the name you were born with. So of course any other country knows that is a legal document that cannot be changed, but not Fiji. I was a little bit embarrassed to say, but Fiji requires it. So they said the next thing you can do is a deed poll to change your name. So imagine we're doing all this running around so that I could stand with the name Warid and align all my documents, because I like using the name Warid, and some women choose to use their maiden names, but I choose to use Warid. Then they said you can't do a deed poll because you're not in the UK. So I go to the Fiji's office and ask there, and they said you can't do a deed poll because your birth certificate is not from here. So I'm like stuck in this limbo. So I go to Fiji elections office. This is when I'm trying to do my voter's card, because you know how we had to. And then ended up getting worried on my voter's card. So I think what happens though is that on the act, the name on the birth certificate has to be, like for us, the candidates, has to be the name that we use. So when I was called back, remember how I was, dropped from the list? That was the whole excitement last week. I submitted my documents because 3 of the candidates fell or came off the list. So our party put up 55 candidates. 3 fell or were rejected because something wrong with their documents. So then they put myself, Maritino Nemani, and I forgot this gentleman's name, Naturangni Namosi.
FTA.
Yeah, the GS from FTA. Lovely gentleman. So they put our names up. Now my documents actually came back really quickly within the first, they did a quick check and they realized that my name on all the other declarations was Warid. And so I had to change them to Parrott, which was on my birth certificate. So, this name has never been used ever before. Personally, I think it's ridiculous that I have to use the name, but that is the history of the name, and that is the reason why the name Parrott was accepted, so I understand it's no fault of the elections office or the supervisor of elections. That's just the way the act is. So that's some background on that, and so please don't fight with anybody. Please don't think anyone's making fun of me. Please don't make fun of my name, because that's the history behind it. It's just a very uncommon one. And somebody said, oh, it's okay because you're like a parrot because you talk a lot. Wow, thank you, everybody. I don't know if it's a compliment or not. So,
But somebody reached out from America and said if that's the same parrot, yeah?
Yeah, was it from America? But somebody did. Oh, I didn't see that one. Yeah, so that's it. Links to Boston. By the way, please write your questions if you have any other questions. But we just wanted to spend a little time, maybe just 10 minutes, of talking about how we felt about the change in names. Okay, that's the technicality. But as you know, names are really important. It's how we identify ourselves. So Edwin thought that it might be a good idea if he also spoke about how did you feel the name change from Liliana Warid to Parrott, Liliana Parrott?
It was frustrating and a bit disappointing, to be honest, because that's the Warid name she's been using quite a lot, And the worst part about this is the freedom of being able to use which name you prefer has been taken away in this instance. And the woman should be allowed to have that freedom to choose which name they want to use. So when you take away that freedom, it's I think it's not right, it's not fair. Already it's hard for most women to get into politics, and then when you get into politics you face this kind of like obstacles, I would say. So yeah, we have to go along with what it is, and so yeah, we just need to use Liliana just has to use the name Parrott. Regardless of what it is, I'm just glad that people get a chance to vote for her, whether it be under the worried name or any other name, Parrott name, as long as people get to vote for her. So I'm pretty sure if there was any other husband in this situation, they'd be disappointed also, but we have to look big picture, and people are the ones that are important, that they get a voice, and at least the person has the same qualities and all of that. It's just a slight change in name. Yeah.
Thank you, honey.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Somebody said to me, just change it. Don't care about it. Put any name they want to put. Mon durungai parliamendi. Like, just get into parliament. You can put any name they want. So that's what happened. And I think for me, I felt a bit emotional because, this man, like, he's been such a huge support. Like, you've just heard him speak, and like, it is difficult for us women, like, not even only in politics, but there's a lot of politics that even happens in the corporate world. I think you have to be even more smarter, I guess, to do politics in the corporate world, because the processes and policies are so tight, and so you have to think creatively. Not that I did any of those bending rules, but Edwin has supported me, like, in my career for years now, and so we've journeyed through that ourselves, because I know it hasn't been easy for Edwin, working, and then because of the society, really the expectation is that the man is the one working and the woman at home. He has taken care of us. He has encouraged me. He has allowed me to just walk in where we feel God has put us. But we also believe that, like I always say, we both do all the roles together. It's just that I'm the one that presents the physical presentation or the face, but even when it came to working in ADB and ANZ, we always talk about all the decisions on this journey, the politics. He's a big part of everything we do, the campaigning and the angles and the strategies. And so for me, I really wanted to carry his name for these elections. Like, for me too, it was a way to honor my husband, and it just made me a bit sad that I was not able to do that. Like, and I did not have a choice. It's just, we can say many things about this government, but this is one of the things that really irks me, like really upset me, particularly when it came to this name change. Like, I don't have a choice. And I'm thankful that you are not too, upset about it. And, I want to apologize, but I can't do much.
It's not up to you.
But that was us, just processing that whole name thing. And so I'm sad that I can't go in as worried. I'm sad that I can't honor him that way. But you know what? Vote us in so we can undo this ridiculous law. Already it's hard enough as a woman, and surely the basic thing of deciding what you are called is our right. And I'm really thankful that you agree with that, honey. So thank you. you can send us any questions if you have. If not, I had one more question for my husband. And then when he answers that, if we have no questions by then we will just say good night, because we're gonna just have dinner. Our children, okay, no, our children don't want to see.
Not the-
I wanted to ask you, honey, about, just because I did a live, as you know, well, you were there when I was doing the live, about what happened and my name being dropped. Okay, so now we've talked about Parrott, what happened there. And when I was given the news, you were not with me. You were coming, we were supposed to meet at the venue where the announcement was to be made. That morning, I came out early, so I brought the car, and then Edwin was going to catch a taxi, and we meet at Ulai, which is where they were having the thing. And so he was on his way there when I called him to tell him that my name had been dropped. And so how did you feel when you heard that? Was it expected, or, I haven't actually asked you this. You've been so good at just looking after me.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I was disappointed. I was, after all the work, that was put in, the countless hours and the meetings that, you were doing, and spending time away from home and the kids, and so it was a big shock, and it was disappointing not to hear your name being called out in that 55. But having said that, like, we know for a fact, like from past experiences, when things like this happen, God has a bigger plan in place. Yeah? And I know we've got a lot of messages and all that saying the same thing, but when it happens, like, the shock is still there, and it's hard, like when you don't know your identity and you're not, you don't have a grounding, that the brain starts to bring up all kinds of things to counter the injustice that was done. Yeah? So, yeah, I just had to really, just ask God for that peace.
I had to dig deeper.
Yeah, I had to really dig deep and ask God to just, give that peace, so we don't, do anything out of emotions, and so and thank God for giving that, for Him, giving me that peace, and just being able to, continue to support the party regardless of the injustice done. Now I know, like, most times, like, it's just like when you be watching the sevens, the rugby and all that, like, there's always the coach decides on the run-on team, and then there's the reserves, and most of the time you see some of the good players are kept on the bench to be the impact player. So when I was trying to think about it in that way, I don't know where that came from, but that analogy, I think God just dropped it into my brain to be able to look at it that way. So but that was a big if if no one dropped out of that 55, we would have still supported the party, but I believe she has more to offer, way more to offer than a lot of people in there. So it was disappointing, but God's hand was on it, and it worked out well. So that was it was good, and now it's the final stretch. So we're all gearing up for this final stretch. I know it's going to get really busy, more busy for us. But yeah, we've started it, and we need to finish strong. Yeah, we are going to strong.
Finish what we started.
Yeah.
And we are going to finish strong.
Yeah. Especially for the people, because the people are people are really in need of a new voice, fresh perspectives, fresh ideas of how to take the country forward. So, yeah, and it's up to the people. We want the people to really be inclusive in the ideas and the way forward. So, it's probably a new kind of leadership for some, but we're excited. Very exciting season.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
we are. Thanks so much, honey.
Okay.
All your examples always rugby.
Mm-mm.
Even in church, rugby.
Season of rugby.
Do you think I could have done anything differently in the way we handled the next, like the few hours after that and the next couple of days? Because you saw the way I reacted. And I'm really, when stuff like this, okay, first month of this guy, stuff like this, I was actually quite concerned about him because he sees me and the things I do. And, he gets, it happens like even in the workplace, like when we were in, Vanuatu in Sydney, because we're a team, but because I'm kind of the one that presents physically to the spaces where we're at, I go through things, there's a lot of politics also, and then he gets very protective, and it's really difficult because he can't step in and do it for me. And our husbands, and I think our men are our protectors, and so I was actually a bit worried about him because I knew that he would probably be feeling that, because it's happened already a couple of times where he just wants to step in and I don't know, like save me, but I need to walk through it. So thank you for supporting, honey. So just lastly, maybe, I don't think we have any questions, but lastly, do you think, because we have a question, so okay, maybe we take the question.
So the questions from...
This is Melania reading the questions, by the way.
The question's from Diane, and she's asking, so when applying to be a candidate, is there a status box of being married or single? And shouldn't this somewhat automatically pick the marriage like surname when you're like applying to be a candidate?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, the issue is not
whether single or married.
Yeah, that's not the issue. The issue is the law that the government has put in place.
That for the voter's card, you need to use your birth certificate name. They will only use the birth certificate name. So if you want to use your married name, you have to go to and amend your birth certificate.
Yes. So imagine you have to put your married name on your birth certificate in Fiji if you want to use your married name to vote. This is for everybody, not just candidates. And it's crazy because, like, if just say that happened to us, and many women in Fiji, I hope all women have registered to vote, but they had to go and then put that name on their birth certificate. So on my birth certificate, it would be Liliana Warid, as if I was born with that name. So that's the ridiculousness of this. So it's by law. That was a change last year, because as usual, things are not thought through here when decisions are made.
There must have been some kind of logic behind it why they would want it to be done that way, probably to avoid duplication of votes or voter cards or something like that. But it could have been, I believe it could have been done better, like probably just insert like on your birth certificate, just tag the marriage certificate and the birth certificate together for it to be, one number or something like that, but not to create all this hassle for all the women who want to use their married name to go and have to change it.
Yeah. And imagine those in the rural areas who don't even have that, access to the government agencies to go and do this.
Yeah. And it's just taking away the freedom for most women. That's the biggest
issue. In this day and age, can you believe we don't even have the freedom to decide what name we're going to vote with?
Someone
Yes, ma'am.
asked, do you think it's a plot to make it harder for people to vote?
We don't know. We don't know that. We don't know.
I think there were a lot of those kind of theories floating around when it first happened, but I don't see how this government could have benefited. I don't really think that they thought through that this would put women at a disadvantage, because when you have to, again, if you're thinking about not even rural areas, like it's people are finding it hard now, like even in Suva. Imagine living somewhere in the Suvarnosori corridor, and you're already trying to think of people are just thinking about where their next meal is coming from. That's the reality. That's what we need to be talking more about. And in the spaces that we've been involved in, even me, I've had to take my brain like right down from like policy level, which I'm so used to thinking of, right down to the everyday of, because the people that we are alongside are just like, okay, what are we gonna have for dinner? That's the reality. So if that is the big issue in most, a lot of these communities, going to pay, like to get a new birth certificate, you have to pay your bus fare to get there, and then you have to, well, it was free, they said. So even bus fare, going and coming, and the time, like, women, I would think, got more important things to worry about. They might have young children that they have to care for. So again, I doubt, I'm 100% sure, let me say that boldly, that this was thought through to that level, because they have no idea. But also, this is why we need more women in those places, in decision-making places, because men don't always think that way, and that's okay, because men don't have to normally think of those things. But that's why we need more women in decision-making positions everywhere, because we, would have brought that insight before this decision was made. Well, that's of course if people were willing to listen. But yes. I can ask.
Someone asked, why did you choose People's Alliance? Just for the viewers' information.
Why did I choose People's Alliance?
You answered that.
Yeah, I answered it on Saturday. There were a couple of reasons, because I had a look at the other parties. At the time when I joined, I think a big influence was the fact that we were very keen to be involved with the party that we felt had the most chance of getting the Fiji First out of government. That was one of the key things for us. Also, by the time I joined, the caliber of people that were already around Sitiveni Rambuka, professionals with a lot of experience, people that I already looked up to. And so that was really important to me. So at that point, those were the two key things. Is that right, that we talked about? Yeah. Is that? Okay. Well, that's all. I don't think I need to ask you that last question, because we've moved on, What?
What was the last question?
I was going to ask whether you thought I could have done anything differently, like in the way I responded to the news of being minused from the list.
No, yeah. I mean, what could you have possibly done? Like, respect the decision that came from party leader, and just pray about how it went down, and God would move on our behalf. And I feel that's exactly what happened. So it's quite a testament to faith, and God is definitely at work, because all that did was, after the press conference, it just attracted the media to you. So I was watching from a side, and I could see FBC, Fiji Sun, and all these gang, Fiji Village, they all just came after you when it finished. So thank you for the free publicity, I would say, in hindsight now. But God's plans is always bigger.
One funny thing with that press conference, we were told as candidates to prepare like a 30-second little speech for when they announced us. So, okay, now we can laugh about this, because before we couldn't laugh about it. So the night before, meanwhile, Liliana preparing this 30-second speech, I stayed up till 2 a.m. the night before this announcement. Imagine trying to say something substantial, but hard-hitting in 30 seconds. It's really hard, Oh yeah, on a practice. I woke him up early in the morning at 6 and said, Han, look, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this action, and I'm going to make my voice strong. Yeah. So even when going down with Melania in the morning, I was going over and over and over. And then when this happened, I was like, ew, how dare? And then now I can't even say my 30-second thing. So when the press came, I was like, thank you, Jesus.
More than 30 seconds.
Yeah, I never mind this 30-second. I get all the press and a good 5 to 10 minutes. So, that's how God works. Yes, you're putting your hand up. Okay.
Someone asked, what ministerial post would you prefer if People's Alliance did come into power?
Nice. Can I be the minister of everything? Like, is that a portfolio that we see now? You know, originally, like when we first came in, we were thinking we love education. Like I was hoping to be involved in education. I happen to think though that we have really good people that can take on that portfolio that I think are better than me in that space. So I would love to be involved in social services, you know, women, poverty alleviation. I'm really passionate about that. And so, yeah, I think we were talking about that.
Somewhere where we can, you know, have a direct impact to the people, like especially the people whose voice is not heard, who are marginalized, and just give them a voice, and you know, things that we can do to probably improve their standard of living. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love
Help
education.
people thrive, like as you always
Yeah,
say.
yeah. Yeah, I love it all. That's why I said Minister of Minister of everything. A lot of people have said, no, maybe you should do finance because you been in finance for so. No, please don't. That sounds like very boring. That's good for Mr. Kamkamida and his big brain. Yeah, okay.
Any
think...
other questions? No?
One more question, but it's like, someone asked, can you make sure the jetty in Loma Loma is fixed ASAP? That was after like that.
Hi, may ke? Never mind the jetty in Loma Loma. How about the road to Ndalidhoni? That's more important. The jetty is fine. And can put up the tower so we can update the page when we are in Ndalidhoni and Christmas.
I guess with those kind of things, it would be like how it's prioritized, and what do they look at when they prioritize those kind of projects.
Yeah.
So you know, just being able to the facts as to why that jetty in Loma Loma would be most important. Yeah, why we should prioritize it when you reach into government. Yeah. So yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Okay. Another
and
one.
Edwin Prasad asked, but how can standard of living be improved? Just a question on like your opinion.
Oh, that's actually a big question. Man, there's many different things because
Cost of living.
no standard of living,
Yeah,
not
but
cost of living.
That will increase that.
Yeah, because I think I believe that there needs to be intervention at all different levels. Yeah, like from policy and all of that. There's, you know, when we talk about standard of living, are we talking only about rural or urban? I really feel like rural development is really important because we're just putting such a strain on the urban resources because we're not developing there, and there's the shift is becoming even higher from the rural areas. And when you look at the stats, it's gone up significantly in the past 3 to 5 years. That's what we had in the article. It's also a combination, also education will come into the picture. And when we talk about education, it's not only the school education, but the education of parents, the education of adults. It's like for some reason we feel like when we leave school, we don't need to get educated. But the times are changing so fast, that's important. And maybe just one thing, if I could pick on one thing in particular, is about the, you know, we were talking today about the food, like, you know, that's one of our basic needs, to be able to eat. And so for standards of living, I feel like it's such a big expense as a family, and the stuff we eat. We have been talking a lot about home gardens. You know, we hear it. We talk a lot about home gardens and all of that sort of thing. And it's not only will reduce our costs, but it helps health-wise. And so then it links to, you know, health and the strain on the health system if we could focus on preventative health. So I really love that topic. I wish we had more time because we have so many ideas, but I guess in a nutshell, the intervention is required at many different levels, but it has to be in a coordinated way and not done in a way where people are just off doing their own thing. So I really love our manifesto because we've thought a lot about how we need to look at rural development, housing, education, youth, women, and all of these things together so that they can result in a better standard of living. So,
Oh, someone really wants to ask you this question.
okay,
Please
really wants
ask
to
her
answer.
this
So
question.
Last
I hope
one,
that's-
This last one, yeah.
Okay.
I'm hungry.
Would you take up a post of High Commissioner or Ambassador to a country such as Australia or America or a country and directly help in funding?
Yeah.
Please ask her, please.
Please ask me, please. If the country really needs me
Needs
to
it,
go, then I suppose. Personally, that's not my preference. I mean, of course, anyone would love to go overseas and live, and I think I have the skills to be able to do that. So, you know, as you know, when working in ADB and ANZ at senior level, you know, I have the ability to, you know, have those kind of conversations and deal with people at that level. However, our passion is really for the people here. And, you know, we really feel like we can be more impactful by taking on more a portfolio, a ministerial portfolio. Yeah, would you say?
Yeah,
You know, like we
it's
said.
direct impact
Yeah.
to the people at the
Yeah.
grassroots level.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if a country needs us to go, we will, but that's not our preference. Okay, Saruta, we were saying 15-20 minutes, and
How long's going?
yeah, we've gone over time, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you for making the time, and it seems like these lives are quite popular, so maybe we might do one every so often. And just open it up so you can ask us questions. I think as we get closer, you might have some questions on my thoughts in different parts of the economy. I'm happy to talk about that as well. We are really passionate about this part of the country, you know, this level, because like we really believe, I think one of my friends described it well today, like this is the heartbeat of the country. Our people are the heartbeat of the country, and so when the heart is beating well, the blood flows well, and so the micro, you know, the health of our people is so important. The micro is so important to make the macro possible, like the GDPs and all those other metrics that we talk about are impacted by us. I mean, the people are the ones that that make those numbers, right? So that is why we're big believers in getting to the heart of this. This is not just a social issue that only affects, you know, one part of the community, but it will affect us all. You know, the more the violence, the more the crime, the more unsafe. Not only us as individuals will be impacted, businesses will be impacted, investors will be impacted. You know, will be higher costs in security, higher risk for those who want to come in and invest, and also, you know, it's become unsafe for us who live here. You know, unsafe for our families. I feel we're quite unsafe now already in Suva. Yes. Okay. So, Bulata Vingo, Sesanieli Naitala. I have not seen. Oh, I have to come and pick up my eskis. Okay, so we're going to leave you because my husband said he's hungry, and you know, when my husband gets hangry, it's not a pretty sight. Some of you might have seen my other video.
Gosh.
So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time. If you have any other burning questions, feel free to just message the page, and or if you want us to talk about anything else, message the page. We can always do another 15 minutes. It'll be great for us to just keep in touch and ask him questions too. He's much smarter than me. Okay, well, you have a great evening, and we will talk to you again later. Vinaka.
Modi.